raised in Huntsville, Alabama, and so I moved up here about 2.5 years ago after I got back from being a missionary in Latin America for a year. And so I moved up here as a hiatus, just trying to, just breaking away for personal growth. My background is actually in public relations. So when I moved up here, I was actually just working at different 9-to-5 jobs and just started playing around with something called Advocare, just trying to keep me busy. I was just bored. I mean, that's just, my parents were entrepreneurs, and I swear up and down, man, what they ingrained in me, it was just something I could not toss aside. You just can't ignore it. And so my dad owned a tree business for 18 years. And so I started working with him when I was 12 years old, and that's about 3 years ago. And so that's, but anyways, no, I'll be 24 in April, but I started working with my dad since I was 12 years old. But my dad, he was very abrasive, and this is going to be me just sharing with you guys a little bit about me. My parents divorced when I was 10, and so I'm the oldest of 3 kids. And so I'm the only one of the siblings that really knew what was going on. And so my mom made me go work with my dad, teach me work ethic. But then she didn't know about all the other stuff that was going on behind the scenes. My dad was very abusive, so he was that way with his employees as well. And no one wants to piss off the boss's son. And so that's where I was already starting to be able to mitigate between my dad and the employees for the chaos that my dad was organizing. And so at 12 years old, that's where I kind of baptized by fire. And so that's where I got my start. It wasn't the way I wanted to, but it was, how when pressure's applied to a toothpaste tube, it's what comes out. So that's what started coming out. So worked with him for about 6 years off and on. Between that and then, some stuff happened. I received Christ in my heart when I was 16, and our relationship started getting restored. He passed away in 2010, and then I was actually positioned to take over the business in 2010. But we had to liquidate it because of all the debt that was happening, and it was just, oh man. So anyways, we got rid of that, and then I started my own landscaping company. Did everything that you don't need a license to do. And so just cutting grass, trimming bushes, laying the mulch down. It was great, It was awesome, especially at 18 years old. But then I came in contact with a gentleman who had been in that industry for 13 years. He's one of the top 3 contractors in Huntsville that's for stone masonry and landscaping. And so he's a phenomenal guy. At 19 years old, I became a 40% partner over all of his PR. We went through a whole rebrand. We went from a nosedive business to doing 6 figures over 6 contracts in a year and a half. And so that was 5 years ago, and now he's still booked out 10 months in advance. And so, I transitioned myself way down a little bit to make sure everything was secure. I went overseas to be a missionary for about a year of cumulative time. And so, what we'll be discussing today is, if I can play it, we're going to be talking about first impressions. See, that's not really fast enough.
Good first impression.
I know, right? It's technology. So we're going to be going about first impressions, your pure motives, building and maintaining relationships, mind share and top of mind marketing, and tools for relationship marketing. And so first impressions, when someone meets you, they're going to make a decision whether or not they do business with you in the first 7 seconds of meeting. And so how you present yourself, everything about your body language, everything about how you conduct your tone of voice, everything that goes into that goes into their decision of deciding whether or not I'm going to talk with you again. Because people don't like to be sold to. Now you have one shot to be remembered. You can't have a do-over on first impressions. You just can't. And that's why, oh man. I've come in here plenty of times in different professions, people wondering, what's he talking about today? Hey, I'm an opportunist kind of guy. I like to take advantage of different things that I see that would benefit people. And so, when it comes to first impressions, people are hesitant to trust you, and that's okay. Trust is earned; it's not given. Trust, you have got to understand that it's okay to take time to build that relationship. And so, over a period of time, if people who have been burned by other people, it's going to take time to really gain that trust. And just be patient with them, because trust me, when you gain that trust, if you guys are a good click, you click well and you have good chemistry, it's gonna be great. And so then, sincerity. Connect with them. Stop trying to sell them, please. People already know what you do. They're not stupid, okay? They understand that what you bring to the table, and if they don't, that's okay. Relationships create that open door for them to put down their walls and understand, to take the time to listen to the value that you bring to them. And so my struggles, man, I've done all of this. I'm not perfect, and so we're growing together. And so I'm just sharing with you what because I'm 23 right now. Stepping into a position like I am right now, a lot of people see me as a young whippersnapper. What is he talking about? In Huntsville, Alabama, if any of you guys are familiar with Braun Civic Center, they're the equivalency of the Bridgestone Arena in Huntsville, Alabama. They just became one of my clients last week, which is great because I'm just in the bathroom. I'm hyping myself up. I'm like, okay, you got this. You're good. You're all right. Okay, you just have fun. I walk in. It's the unicorn of sales, and you're just like, I love the product. Oh my gosh, I just love it. Just tell the price. I'm like, yes. So we started going back and forth on different things, different options and availabilities, and now the Braun Civic Center, who's named after the guy, was it Braun who started the NASA program? It's named after him.
Werner Braun.
See, yeah, and that's
buddies.
So, oh, there's me. And so I used to think that I had to prove myself to people because of my youth. But here's the thing: when you know what you're talking about and you can bring value to people, they will see that. You don't have to prove yourself. I don't care what age you are. Because here's the thing: if experience is the best teacher, then most people that are Windows age would know better. And so, love you, Wendell. And so I thought I had to flaunt my credentials. People don't want. Here's the thing: if I come to Wendell and say, "Hey, look, I have 12 years of public relations and I can bring so much to the table for you, such and such," you shut them off immediately because it's called arrogance. No one likes that. You don't have to prove yourself. You can. It's the tip of the iceberg. When people get to know you, they're going to know there's more to you than meets the eye. And so, honestly, whenever I started talking to people, I actually took it personally. And I still battle with this every day to keep my mind focused that it's about them. It's not about what my bills are. It's not about what I have to meet. It's about them. How can I truly benefit them? Because that's the real root of us taking things personally and getting offended is selfishness. And we have to remember it's about them. If you are in your industry, for you need to get out now. Now. Let today be a sharp right turn to get out of your profession. If you're in your profession, and meet your bills. I understand that your bills are very important. I'm working on clearing $18,000 worth of debt in 6 months. I get it. I understand. But this is not about you. This is about them. It's not about us. We have to be able to put them first. And so, and Lori has been on speed dial several times because I work with Lori, and I can't tell you how many times that I have caught myself on a weak moment, and I would get frustrated because someone said no. Who cares why they said no? No one owes you an explanation. No one owes you the reason why they said no. Who cares? Love them. You have no idea what's going on behind closed doors. I'm not psychic. Wish I was. That'd be awesome. Because most of the time when I took it personally, I'd give up. So Lord, what was the stat that was it 80% of salespeople give up after the 3rd contact? But 80% of the sales is made after the 8th contact. It's nuts. There's people. There's a lady that just signed up with me today to help with her relationship marketing. She owns about 5 different businesses and is on the consulting board for one of the major churches in Huntsville. But it took me several weeks to nail her down, to stay in touch with her. Not saying that, we've got to do this, this, and this, and this, and this, whatever, and get everything, let's knock this out now. No, it's about what's a good fit for them in every area. If it's not a good fit, then look, no problem. Next. And so, who's all done this?
All have.
Okay, I was about to say, y'all have it, you're a liar. But, so, that's why God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, and also 2 eyes. That's why I love, what is his name? The one who does the communication guy?
James.
James is an amazing man. what he talks about, I remember he was stood up and spoke when we were in Murfreesboro a couple weeks ago. He said something very profound, and he said that we don't listen with our ears, we listen with our eyes. You know, because here's the thing, you have to be able to listen. I'm getting ahead of myself, but go listen to what they're really saying. And pursue the person and not their wallet, please. Because it goes back to what we were just talking about. If people sense that you're trying to tap into their wallets and not their hearts, they're going to sense it, they're going to shut you off. I've been guilty of it. So have pure motives. You know, in everything you do, understand what you're going into this for. When you're going into a meeting, have a clear direction. Make sure everyone understands the direction of the meeting you're about to have with them. Because if they don't, their wires are going to get crossed, feelings are going to get hurt, and the thing is, restoration can happen, but it takes time. Why would you want to react to something when you can be proactive? And so maintain how you start. What I mean by that is how you start, what you do to start with somebody is what you're going to have to maintain. You know, it was a couple of weeks ago, I was going to join one of the clubs up here in Nashville, but for networking purposes. Their heart is philanthropy. It's not for networking. You know, and I caught myself. I was like, wait a minute. I'm not going to join this group for the right reasons. So I backed out. I told them why. I said, guys, I apologize. That's the reason why I was joining. I do a heart check every day. I make sure that my heart is right in everything I do, because that's going to shine through. You know, I don't care how much money it's going to make. I talk to people all the time. You know, people are like, man, you could be making so much more money doing this. Great. It's not why I make decisions. I don't make decisions based on how much money I can make. I make decisions on what's close to my heart. Because I could be a millionaire right now. Great. I'd rather be content. I'd rather be able to do what's what I'm passionate about, instead of having a whole bunch of money in the bank. Having a whole bunch of money in the bank is great, but it's only if that stems off of what I'm passionate about. And so, but be honest with yourself. Do that heart check. And what do you really want? Because people know what you want. People know why you're doing what you're doing, even if you don't. It's all about what is your motive? Why are you even starting into this venture with somebody? And because eventually they're going to pick it up and like, oh, you know, because whenever you call somebody, you know, we've all done this. We've called somebody, a prospect we haven't heard from in a while, and it's like, hey, just want to check in on you, see how you're doing. Have you had time to look at the link yet, or have you had time to do any homework? They're like, oh, that's why you called. You know, and it's about really connecting with them on an innocent and pure level. Because if you reach out to them and you don't even mention the business, it starts to build that relationship, builds that trust, and those walls speak out. Let's see. Okay, so someone said this, and I thought it was really interesting. They said that the reason why people burn out is because they forget why they started. You know, we always start because we're passionate about something. We have something burning inside of our hearts. It's why we do what we do as a profession in everyday life. Because what happens is that in everyday life, sometimes, you know, in the 4 disciplines of execution, sometimes we get wrapped up in the tornado of urgency and we forget the important things. A lot of times we get wrapped up in that tornado and we forget our why. We forget why we started. We forget how we're doing things. We get so sidetracked with so many good ideas that we forget the great ideas. And so, remember your why. You know, and it's actually a biblical principle. You know, in Matthew 6:33 talks about, you know, God says, seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and everything will be added unto you. Same thing with people. You have to seek after them. Seek after what they would like. Find out their needs. Listen to them. Let them tell you their needs. And then that way you can tailor everything for you. I love that food served. You guys want it? How do you guys like that slide though? It's the first one I ever made. It's pretty good. Thank you. Actually, I'm just kidding. I'm very But what happens is that there's 2 commandments that Jesus said to do, and everything else hangs on those 2 things. Love God with your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. But the thing is, if you are not seeking out that person's heart, finding out how can I be a resource for you, how can I help you, nothing else is going to work. You can't tap into their wallets and expect them to follow. First of all, that's shady. Second of all, you really being able to help them, that should have been why you started in the first place. You know, their needs are wants 24 hours. All right. Well, that's that picture. So people need to be appreciated. Like, I appreciated Lori to no end. There's been times when I told Lori this too. When I first met Lori, I thought it was kind of creepy how fast she responded to text messages. But she's just right on top of things, you know. But it's because I asked her, I was like, dude, how do you have a life? She's like, yeah, I just like to help people. And she just stays true to this day. She remains a resource for me like that. Yeah, it's just amazing. Jake, I mean, I can call him and just talk to him just for nothing, you know, just whatever. You know, Wendell, I love cutting up with him. You know, Donna, dear God. But, you know, the thing is, people need to understand that you appreciate it with no strings attached. You know, they have got to understand. I did a social experiment, let's say it was last week. You know, I had a list of people that I just wanted to send out a text message to. And I just appreciated them. I just sent them a straight up text message and said, hey, I appreciate you, all caps, just because of you. Yeah, or something.
I didn't make that list.
Neither did I. I was going to say the same thing, but thanks for all that.
I just went through it really fast and just list of people. Well, I love it. So I sent this to just a couple people that were on the top of the list, and just in my contacts, just went through it, and the response was amazing. I mean, just the people that
Did you send me one?
Huh?
I got a text this week from, I don't know who, said, I want to send you a card. What's your address? I thought maybe it was you.
Might have been, I don't know. Why didn't you reply?
I did reply.
Yeah. That wasn't me then.
Okay.
but what's neat is that I sent that text message to people, and the response was amazing. There's such a lack of connectivity these days with people that when you just tell them how much you appreciate them or you give them a hug, it's just phenomenal. Yeah, I mean, I was talking with Joseph earlier, and I just appreciate his heart and his passion. I can see what he's doing, and he's passionate about what he does. But if it wasn't, he wouldn't be doing what he's doing. Yeah, and I'm grateful for people like that. You know, people are very distracted, so you have to be obvious. Like, dude, thank you for what you're doing. They're like, oh, well, thank you. You know, because if you try and give them hints, they're just like, okay? And so, but you have no strings attached. You know, my grandma Wenger, my dad and my grandma passed away in the past 10 years. And so, you know, when I moved up here from South America as a missionary, it's like a hiatus. You know, I just wanted to take a break and personally grow. And I had no idea how many areas I had to grow. I'm perfect now. But you know, but it's just, but it's great because I started realizing there's so many areas I have got to grow in, but I was so distracted emotionally with so many different things that my grandmother, I could not talk with my grandma. I felt bad. Like, you know, she could pass away any day right now. She's like 80 something. So she's really old. But what's great is that we don't feed them many guys. How crazy is that picture though? See, that's pretty obvious. Was it Dirty Dancing movie?
It is a movie.
Yeah. Oh, she was on the chair.
No, that's Flashdance.
Flashdance. Everyone said
You're only
Flashdance.
23.
Yes, I am 23. I remember watching Roadhouse with my dad. So
That's not Johnny and Baby. That's not Johnny and Baby. Sorry.
Yeah. And so my grandma, man, I just was so exhausted emotionally and really just interacting with her because she was so depressed. And we had to talk for at least an hour and a half at a time on the phone. And what happened is that I just became exhausted. I literally had to take a nap for 30 minutes minimum after talking with her. So after several times of that, I felt bad, but I just really could not expel that much energy. And so, but then what happened is that I just really decided, you know what, I'll see her at family reunions, you know what, I'm going to do what I can. But then I started playing around. I ran across the way with send-out cards. Started playing around to build my Advocare business. You know, it just didn't really take off because health and wellness is important, but it's not my wheelhouse. And so I started using send-out cards to just play around with it, but then it dawned on me. 10 minutes before my chiropractor appointment, I pull up the app on my phone, snap a selfie with myself, type a note on there. Within my time it takes to send a text message, I tacked on those brownies and Zelda loves, and then I sent it to my grandma. Those brownies were always said, I sent it to my mom, or my grandmother. And she loved them. So I sent them to my grandma on a Wednesday. They got to her on a Monday. I got a call from her. And she called and said, hey, I got your package. I'm like, oh yeah, really? She never cusses. And she's this cute church lady. She's like, Jeremy, I'm just so happy right now. I don't even know what to say. I lost it. But then we had more of a quality conversation in 30 minutes. More of a quality conversation in 30 minutes than we did in the past hour and a half times in the past. It's about relationship building. It's about maintaining that contact. We really can only maintain contact with about 10 people at a time. Just keep it mental sanity. How much more time do I have? Okay, cool. So mental sanity is because we have really cannot expel that much energy at a time to really maintain those intimate relationships. But how in the world do we do that? So it's all about your motives. Give more than you take, please. It's all about, it's like with the bank. You deposit, then you withdraw. You can't withdraw anything if you don't put anything in there. So relationships, they allow trust. What we were talking about earlier. When you build relationships, people put down their walls. And that's why it's so important. The people who have a database of 500 to 5,000 people that you're dealing with, it's kind of hard. Two reasons, and this is the brutal honesty. People don't buy from you because they don't trust you or your product or service. And so this is resorting back to what we're talking about. If we are not building relationships with innocent intentions and motives, people will see straight through that like a window on a building and shy away from you. So listening is much greater than talking. Now, what I've done, just every day growing and refining my skills, and just listening about 15%. I'm probably going down to 5 to 10%. So 5 to 10%, and so then that way people can really express what they're wanting to do. And so, but the thing is, it's not about what they're talking about; it's about what they're really trying to say. Read between the lines and listen to understand, don't listen to respond, please. Now, this is going to be a paradigm shift, but who cares if you get the sale? Who cares? Okay? Yeah, you have those points that you want to hit and help them close the sale. You assume the sale. I mean, I understand sales. I've done it about half my life. I get it. But what happens is that when they see that you don't care about the sale and you care about them, the sale will happen doesn't need to agree to this. And it's about them. It's not about you. Here's the thing. 10 relationships at once. Now, 65% of clients will leave to another professional if you don't maintain a relationship and influence with them. Every month that goes by, you lose 10% of influence with your customers. Now, I know a lady who does statistics across the board for real estate and for realtors and stuff. You can see she's the top producing realtors in Tennessee. And I mean, what she's told me is that 99% of realtors do not stay in touch with their past clients after they sell the house. I mean, Zelda, if you don't stay in touch with somebody, and you can test like this, if you don't stay in touch with somebody that you sold the house to, you think they're going to come back to you 3 years later when they want to sell?
I'll send them Valentine's text.
But that's when you're staying in touch. If you don't stay in touch, you think they're going to come back to you to sell their house? Yeah, that's what it's about, staying in touch with them, staying in contact, and building that relationship.
I love it.
Yeah, it's about. Yeah, so here's the thing. Going back to this, I have my grandma on there. So what I want you guys to remember is that with the database of 500 people or even 50 people, it's very hard to stay in touch. Now, how we do this is automation. You have to create fridge-worthy content, so that way it's with those cards, you put them on there on the refrigerator, so it's a public spectacle. So that way it's not something where you're going to be able to say, look, this is a coupon, because if you send them a coupon, it's great, but it's subliminally saying, come spend money with me. So, but here's the thing, be a resource to them. If they don't buy from you, let them connect you with someone who will. Now, this is what, I have a little handy tool that I use, that I recommend to people as I'm talking with them about relationship marketing and branding and everything. Send out cards has been actually very well. It's helped me to maintain a relationship with people. Yeah, I mean, the time it takes to send a text message, you can send a card to somebody that has your handwriting on it. I mean, you can send it to 5,000, 100,000 people at a time to click up a button. And what Netflix has done with movies, send out cards has done with greeting cards. And Lori and I have worked with people for the past 11 years. And one strategy that we've got is doing the 90-10 rule. Building a relationship 90% of the time and talking about promotion 10% of the time. And what we've done is we've noticed a 20-25% increase in 6 months with those people across the board. And what's cool is that we even have a guarantee. And if we don't even know it's just 20% in 6 months, all the money that goes into manufacturing cards, we'll reimburse it to you. Doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur, network marketer, small business, or corporation. We can handle all types of growth. And I apologize for going over like 100 minutes, but I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. And so if you guys want to